Hello, I'm Julie Bell. I'm currently the Global Head of HR and Corporate Communications for Roush Enterprise, Michigan-based organization. I am a year 2000 alum from the University of Detroit Mercy IO program. What really appealed to me about the program at UDM was just the incredible amount of diversity within the program in terms of the types of skills, experiences, and competencies you get. And I actually touched upon that today in the conversation with students and prospective students. Really learned a lot from everything around organizational design, change management, how you create infrastructure and processes and change behaviors. And really that all stemmed from the foundational work that I was taught here at UDM. At the end of the day, anytime you go into the business, almost every aspect of business has a psychological foundation to it. And this program really prepares you to help really think about that framework as you're building solutions for current and future workforces. As I think about the IO psychology field going forward, the artificial intelligence influence across the world, one, I think is still a bit unknown, but we know it's coming. It's going to completely change the landscape around how people work, what kind of roles and responsibilities people are going to have, what kind of skills we need. This is all going to really result in a lot of workforce gaps in terms of having enough people that have the right skills, and then more importantly, how do you retain and have the individuals work at the most optimal level? Again, that's all grounded in IO psychology principles, everything from the psychology around how you recruit, how you train, how you help people manage through change, and how you develop leaders to obviously be better leaders. My advice, I would say to IO prospective students, one is UDM is an incredible school. The intimacy that you get to learn but at the same time, it's such a high caliber. That I think is a differentiator, maybe compared to other programs, because the reality is that as a student, you got to think about what program is going to get me to a place where I can become a practitioner as soon as I graduate, or even before I graduate from the program. Companies want people that are going to hit the ground running without much of a learning curve because it's so fast. And so as I think you're evaluating programs and what fields you want to go into, you got to really consider, where am I going to get the most accelerated opportunity to learn and develop so that I can immediately go into the workforce and make a strong impact. So I would really strongly recommend that. And then when I think about where I'm at today and challenges and what we're focused on, I think we're like most organizations. We have 5 generations that think very differently, but at the same time have the same things that they want, but work in a way that is very, very different. And so we're trying to manage through that around how do you create an environment that can appeal to so many different variety of generations and what they want, while still getting the work done, still producing high quality at a low cost. That's an incredible challenge for us. Another is immigration. We do need to be a global workforce, and immigration has become tougher than ever. A lot has to do, obviously, with whatever administration is in Washington. But it is becoming evident that we are not going to just be able to recruit from the U.S. for our critical jobs. We have to think about how do we start developing and recruiting across overseas. The whole international student is a piece that we absolutely have to tap into. So a lot of different aspects that we're thinking about, but at the end of the day, the biggest challenges are technology is going to influence the way we do our work. So how do we prepare our workforce for that? How do we predict what kind of jobs we're going to need? And then ultimately, how do we get people productive day one and then get them to stay throughout their career so they feel that they're making an impact?